Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I really appreciate this opportunity. My name is Julie Baker. I'm the Wyoming State Director for Convention of States, and I live near Hewlett. And I'd like to speak a little bit to the grassroots support for this Article 5 convention for proposing amendments. And I know you've all received emails or phone calls or requests for meetings asking for your support for this Article 5 convention. What you might not know is that thousands of Wyoming constituents support this effort, and they've demonstrated this by signing the Convention of States petition, and that's in excess of 12,000 Wyoming constituents. Wyoming has one of, if not the highest number of petitions signed per capita in the country, and yet 19 other states have responded to their constituents ahead of us. These constituents took the time to let you know they're frustrated with Washington, D.C., squandering our resources, squandering our money, telling us what we can and can't buy. They're regulating us into servitude, and they're relying on you to use the power of Article 5 to restrain that, to rectify this problem. Convention of States volunteers all across the state have reached out to people at fairs and gun shows and town halls and street markets. And we're showing them that there's hope in the Constitution in Article 5, that in the overwhelming reaction when you talk to people is relief and joy that there's actually a solution, and it's in Article 5 of the Constitution. And then that relief and joy is quickly followed by a stunned disbelief that Wyoming wasn't the first one to pass it. And we didn't lead the charge, and we're falling behind. Alexander Hamilton, who said a lot of things, and he had a lot to say about federalism. And at the New York State Ratifying Convention, he said this, and I quote, "This balance between the national and state governments ought to be dwelt on with peculiar attention, as it is of the utmost importance. It forms a double security to the people. If one encroaches on their rights, they'll find a powerful protection in the other. Indeed, they will both be prevented from overpassing their constitutional limits by a certain rivalship which will ever subsist between them." And sadly, in the past decades, we haven't seen much of this rivalship that he spoke of. And it sounds amazing, because it is, that the framers' forethought gave us this most powerful, peaceful, legal, and constitutional method to end this madness that we find ourselves in. All we're asking for is a meeting. It's simply a meeting where people suggest stuff. They get together, they talk, they debate, and they propose. That's all the convention is. It's a proposing body. So to encourage the Wyoming legislature to engage in the rivalship that Hamilton spoke of, you'll continue to receive emails and get phone calls and requests for meetings. And this is Wyoming's opportunity to become state number 20. When people hear of this, support only grows. It's time to finally join Florida and Texas and Oklahoma and Utah and Nebraska and 14 other states to bring enduring structural reforms to the federal government that reflect the original intent of the founders. Please take into consideration all these constituents, the supporters in this room, the supporters that are no doubt going to be on Zoom, the hundreds in your districts, and the thousands across Wyoming, and vote yes on SJ 11.